on the button of that sheet was blood, a blood sample that they were able to use to establish forensics that pointed them and confirmed with, and I'll go, where's the probable concept? On the very last page, I want to make sure I get the number of nines right here, Robert. At least 99.9998 of the male population would be expected to be excluded from this possibility of being the suspect's biological father. So again, genetic genealogy being used. But yeah, as of right now, there is no murder weapon. And that also, too, we're talking about June 26th. That gives investigators, a period of half a year, roughly half a year, to find the murder weapon. But when we're talking about all the time that elapsed in the aftermath of November 13th and all of the geography that was all this many states between Idaho and Pennsylvania, there's just
I'm going to get ready to go live on the Pascal Show. I'm not going, it's going to be on YouTube. I'm not going to disconnect, though. I will just turn the camera for those of y'all who want to come there as a guest to discuss the case. I figured out a way to do all of this and not have to get off anything. So let me turn the lights on, I'll mute this, and then we'll move on to that.
Really belittle some of the evidence that the prosecution has gathered. Now, as we've said before, making the distinction here, to get a conviction in a case like...
All right, I'll flip this around for y'all on TikTok. And I say that because I also have streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter going. Then I'm going to get logged for the Pascal Show. Bear with me 1 second on that. All right. Give me 1 second and I will be able to answer any questions that y'all have. I'm just trying to get these freaking ring lights set up so I can have the phone held. All right. So this is on the Pascal Show on YouTube. I will on mine. Edits here.
Then I will ask at this time as to the 5 felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022. Are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agree that that hearing can be held outside the 14 days?
What did who say? Brian's? It looks like he might have cut himself shaving, or that somebody beat the crap. I don't think they're gonna beat the crap out of him. I'm not gonna start that. I'm not gonna say that because I'll spread rumors. It's not big. It looks like he might have cut himself shaving or cut himself on something. He's had a rough last few days, right? Pascal is P-A-S. Hold on. P-A-S-C-A-L. Hey, Pascal, how are you doing? If you can hear me. If you can hear me, and I'm still backstage. I can answer questions up until I'm there, so and I'll know ahead of time. I wonder if I can. I wonder if I can put the Pascal Show up on here for you guys to see it. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, I'll do this so y'all can see it, and then you can hear me talk. Yeah, I can turn the camera more. Oh, actually, I'm going to turn it back to the screen. I can leave the volume on it before them, but then we'll have to go to this. Well, maybe I can turn this up.
Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your stay no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to counsel, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you.
me 1 second. This will go live in a second. You can rewatch the hearing, I'm sure, on YouTube. I think it's next y'all can hear this.
The preliminary hearing for Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger said.
See, I was told you could not stream. That's all.
Kohberger making his second appearance in Idaho court, answering to the charges of murdering the 4 University of Idaho students. Hello there, folks. JD here with you live on WFLA Now. Let's bring back. So as you can see, he's going to get right to clearly. Our comment section is lighting up with one comment in particular, noting some of the cuts that are on Bryan Kohberger's face. I would say somewhere between 60-70% of our comments are all about some of the markings that he has right here next to his lip, and right there on the jawline as well. He looks to me, Robert, to be relatively clean shaven as far as his second appearance, ahead of his second appearance in Idaho court. So I'm looking at this as potentially maybe shaving cuts, but all our comment section is talking about right now are some of the markings on his face.
So, as you guys can see, obviously there's some stuff going on. Even during the preliminary hearing, during this status conference hearing that he just had, now people are looking at his face, and obviously, you never know what happened here with his face. It's not, to me, it looks like he may have just cut himself shaving, or because I don't think he's really around other inmates, right? Other people that are jailed up with him. I think they've been trying to keep him at a safe distance, away from any of the other people, because obviously they want to find out what actually happened to these 4, right? They want to hear the truth. They want to hear everything. So when this is going down, I just think he's just cut his face and could just be nervous. It just could be nerves, right? Anxiety, etc. JG, yes, he's in confinement. So it's not like he's going and, accidentally dropping the soap, you feel me? So I don't think that that's what's going on here. I think he just cut his face, shaving his face. That happens to us men, happens to us a lot. But I am very excited to bring on another friend of the show, another family friend of the show. So please welcome my brother Justin.
Hey, Pascal.
What's up, man? How you doing, bro?
I am well. I'm excited to be back on here. Sorry that we had a little bit of communication barrier, but today I think it ended up being a good day for it.
Oh, no worries, bro. No worries. It looks like we're going to be rocking and rolling here in just a minute, but let everybody know really quick, because I know some people knew about your channel, about your TikTok channel, but I understand now you have a YouTube channel. Let people know about your YouTube channel, man. Yeah.
So, and by the way, thank you for your help and advice on some of that. I actually, as this is going on, I actually have, you should see the setup. It's absurd. I have one on TikTok, one phone on TikTok with 1,100 people in there streaming, like looking at the, my screen over here, watching the show, and they can hear it. Then this one, and then I'm actually also live streaming on StreamYard, thanks to your advice, from Justin on TikTok, on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, all at the same time. So I'm trying to grow some presence a little bit over on YouTube. I really, to be honest with you, I've stuck to TikTok predominantly, which is why I've got like a little 516,000 people there. But I'll be honest, man, with StreamYards, I can do so much more on YouTube. So I'm hoping some of my followers will follow me over there, because it's been like what you just did, throwing that up there. I love being able to do that. It allows for the talking points to go through so much clearer. But yeah, thank you for that shout out.
Oh, no problem, man. So yeah, everybody, please go and check out what is the YouTube channel.
So all of my channels are all Justin on TikTok. Typically, that's across YouTube, IG, Twitter, Twitch, and of course TikTok. I think the only one that's a little bit different is TikTok, and it has a 0 instead of an O for the last one. But if you still type it in, you'll find me.
Right on. So there it is. Bang. Let me pull this up so everybody can see. And yes, he is streaming right now on his channel as well. Hold on. Let me show you guys this real quick so you guys can see it. Justin on TikTok, okay, with an O. All right. Go and check him out. All right.
Thank you for that.
So go and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Give him some love and some support and all that as well. Whoops. Sorry, wrong button. Anyway, so I appreciate you coming on. Now,
Thanks for having me.
there's a lot we got to talk about, bro.
A lot.
Obviously, there's some information that we just found out. Let me show this really quick one more again. I just lost it. Hold on.
There it is.
Let me get it again. From Bryan Kohberger, giving us some new updates. Ooh, there's another video we're gonna look at here in just a minute. But let me show you guys this first and foremost. Okay, as we saw, bang says Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing has been set for June 26th. He did show up today. He walked in. Of course, he waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, and he has zero bail. Okay, he has no bail. He ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So, shout out to Bryan Kohberger for giving us the information, and of course, being just right there, giving us hot news, hot and fresh out the kitchen. So, I gotta ask you, Justin, what are your thoughts on this recent hearing? Where do you think we're heading towards right now?
So I think that today's an interesting, I was kind of going and not knowing what to expect. Up until yesterday, I had been on my channel saying that, we're not going to expect a plea today, which we didn't get. But then yesterday, People Magazine did an article that said we can't expect a plea, and everything's been going back and forth that these status preliminary hearings can be a surprise. The only thing that was a little surprising about this is for somebody who's claiming that they're innocent, to want to sit in jail without bail for 6 months doesn't seem, I get why they're wanting to build a defense, and that takes time. But to want to willingly sit in jail for 6 months to do that, if you're innocent, it shouldn't take, in my opinion, that long to build a solid defense. So, it's interesting. Although a lot of people have been commenting, I watched even in my thing that, 6 months is such a long time. When it comes to court, especially a trial of this magnitude, something this high profile, 6 months is really not that long. It can take years for these types of things to really take baby steps. So I'm not overly surprised, but I am a little surprised. I figured he'd probably want to move a little bit faster. But you're good.
No, and you're absolutely right. Sorry, I'm just trying to queue up a video that I just got. But the thing is this is the thing. All right. Yes, it is. Well, we just had a lawyer on just a little bit ago, Andrea Burkhart. Shout out to Andrea Burkhart. She said it isn't random, or this isn't out of tradition, I guess, for them to have a preliminary hearing in 5 months' time, 5-6 months' time. But then I've been hearing other lawyers say different as well, where they say no. Usually this takes a little bit longer than 6 months to get things up and moving as well. So it is interesting that they are doing this. And also within the hearing, you heard the defense ask for it to happen in June, late June. They said, can we have it within June, 2nd or 4th week of the month, later in June, so on and so forth. I don't know why they asked for 5 months specifically, almost, in that way.
Yeah.
It's weird for them to go, hey, let me get this date at this time in the summertime, so on and so forth. It's very exact, very weird. But the judge allowed it. The judge gave it a thumbs up. The prosecution gave it a thumbs up as well. Maybe they talked, right? Maybe the defense and the prosecution had a conversation and said, hey, we don't want this to wait very long. Maybe the prosecution wanted more time. So maybe they found a happy medium and said, you know what? 5 months is fine enough. Let's just do 5 months. We're going to make this happen. This is a deal that we're making across the aisle. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a couple things on that. So first, my brother's an attorney, and so we have conversations about this kind of stuff, occasionally. And for attorneys, the first thing I'm going to say is for attorneys, they can go toe to toe in a courtroom, and then at the end of the day, go have drinks together. Their friends hang out, whatever that they're going to do, play golf, etc. So, that's not uncommon. This is their job. Their job is to win a case. In regard to the specific date, that doesn't even overly surprise me either, because, you're talking about Ann Taylor's office. She's it's public defender's office. So they have to represent all the cases in that, in a certain area, for people who can't afford an attorney, which, that's going to be a large amount. That office, that's going to be a large amount of people. So the date doesn't really concern me. It's probably just what they had open in their calendar that they could make it work by moving things around. But yeah, I mean, these lawyers, they're not enemies. So, they can go talk to Ann Taylor, and Ann Taylor can talk to, the state's attorneys and the DA, and they're probably friends. They're just trying to get a job done.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you say that, because definitely it is a smaller town. So you have to put that in consideration. So sure, I'm sure that they've run into each other quite a bit, maybe shared some drinks kind of thing. That is very true that, that there's that kind of connection, that kind of
camaraderie, if you will.
Camaraderie, exactly. Yeah. Thank you for the word. Exactly. I've been losing words today.
It happens to me all the time. Don't worry about it.
It's driving me crazy. But before we go into some of you guys' questions and comments, there is a video here that I wanted to show you guys. This is Bryan Enton right outside, right after this hearing that he was just witness to. Let's take a look and let's take a listen to what he has to say. Aside from the information that we already know is being pushed, or obviously the preliminary hearing is happening on June 26th, but let's hear what else he has to say about all this that's going on.
Good morning, Marty. Yeah, it was a very, very quick court hearing. I would say just about 10 minutes or so. And we learned that they are going to have a preliminary hearing, which is a big deal, but it's not going to be until June 26th. So almost 6 months from now. So we are likely not going to learn much more about this case until June. The lawyer for Bryan Kohberger basically saying that they didn't want to have the hearing, but they needed time to go over all the details of the case. And the prosecution and the defense agreed that June would be a good time for that. They estimated that this preliminary hearing that starts in June will last anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And again, it's going to be significant, Marty, because at the preliminary hearing, the way the law works here in Idaho, more evidence will come out, and both sides will be able to question witnesses. So we may hear from people we haven't heard from before, like the surviving roommate who saw the killer walk by, according to police. Take a look at this video. I believe this is video. This is actually not a video from today. This is from last time, but I noticed Kohberger was wearing a different outfit. You see there, this is from the last hearing last week. He was in a different shirt today. He was in a t-shirt today. When he came in, Marty, very quiet, like normal, didn't look back at anyone sitting in the audience, just sort of looked straight ahead, answered the judge's questions, and it was short, and things will sort of be at a standstill, at least for the public, until mid-June, Marty.
Bryan, inside of the courtroom, were the families present this morning? What was the composition of the folks who were allowed in?
Yeah, the families were not there from what we could tell, because last time they were in the front row and we didn't see any family members this time. I'm told that Keely Gonzalez's family decided that they were going to watch this on Zoom. It was just too much for them to be here today. I mean, you can imagine how emotional it is, Marty, because it's a small courtroom. So when they sit in the front row, they're very, very close to Kohberger, just a couple feet away, which is obviously extremely overwhelming to be that close to a man accused of killing your loved one. We're also told that the prosecutors have been in constant communication with the families. So basically they update them and let them know, look, this is going to be a significant hearing. We think you should be there, or this is going to be a short hearing, really just a scheduling hearing. And that was the case today. Very, very short. They just wanted to schedule this preliminary hearing. So the indication is the prosecution let the families know, like, hey, it might not be worth the hardship and the emotional toll of coming today. We'll just keep you posted with what happens.
Bryan, describe what Kohberger looked like, how he acted, any characteristics that stood out to you about his appearance this morning, different than when we saw him the first time in the video people are seeing now?
Yeah, so this is actually now the video from today, Marty. And again, I can tell because of the T-shirt. I noticed that he was wearing a T-shirt today. So this is just from about a few minutes ago. So he looks forward the whole time. As you see, that's his public defender who did most of the talking. Didn't look back at all. Seemed a little fidgety when he first came in. But basically, it had the same sort of vibe that he did the last two other times that I saw him, the last time here in Idaho and the first time in Pennsylvania. His public defender did most of the talking, explained that she had already reached out to the prosecution and that they agreed on this June date. And then the judge basically had to question Kohberger and make sure that he was okay with waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. Because the way the law works here in Idaho, you're supposed to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of getting arrested. This is obviously going to be 6 months out, so the judge had to get on the record with Kohberger that he was okay with waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, Bryan, but if and when this goes to trial, is there any discussion yet about a change of venue?
There is discussion, not officially in court at this point, but everybody's sort of talking about it in town. Because it seems like that could be a very real scenario that both sides could possibly agree on. I mean, this is a very, very small town. It's a college town. A lot of people knew the victims or were somehow connected to the victims. Almost everybody is connected to the university. So, experts that we've interviewed really on both sides, defense attorneys and prosecutors, have said it might not be a bad idea to move the trial to perhaps a place like Boise.
Another step in what will be a long process. Bryan Enton in Moscow this morning, we have learned now that a preliminary hearing will take place in June for Bryan Kohberger charged with 4 counts of murder in the death of those 4 University of Idaho students. Bryan, thank you for that.
You know what's interesting? Now that they just mentioned this and talking about this whole thing, now is why. What advantage would that? What advantage would that be? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense changing the home turf to something else. What would make the situation? Would that make it better for him? I don't understand why they would even change cities and whatnot.
It makes sense to me. So changing the venue, I think that that's going to happen. I think that it has to happen. Otherwise, it puts. Because if you do it, the majority of people in Lotta County are going to know about this situation. If not, you're probably under a rock. This is very local to them. It's very personal. It's a very small town. The ability to get a fair trial, if you will, in Lotta County is probably pretty much out the window. To find jurors that aren't going to already have their biases made up about this case, aren't going to know how they feel about Kohberger one way or the other. That's going to be difficult. It might be overall difficult in the state of Idaho, but not impossible. You go back, and they were talking about this earlier, I think, on WFLA. If you go back to like Casey Anthony or OJ or George Zimmerman with Trayvon Martin, these are all very high profile, very public cases. They ended up finding juries for them, but you have to do your best to find as impartial as you can, because if not, you can get a verdict overturned, or basically get declared a mistrial, which is obviously what you don't want to do. I think that last time I was on your show, we talked about the police a little bit and talked about how it was Mayberry, and I was wrong on that. They kept everything very close to the vest, and the police work that's been done here is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal police work for them to have done what they've done, got the arrest, got the warrants, even in Pennsylvania where they went in, I think it was like 50 tactical people to have essentially a no knock that time with that type of aggression. Like, you have to have not just compelling information, you have to have really, really compelling information for that. And so whatever they have, what we've seen in the affidavit is just the tip of the iceberg. They have significantly more that they have not shown us. We know that just by the sealed warrants out of Bryan's apartment alone. So, I think that the police, they want more than an arrest. They've said it before. Chief Fry said it. They want more than an arrest. They want a conviction. And in order to get a conviction, you have to have everything super tight. And there is no room for error. There is no room for mistakes.
Interesting. And what's interesting too, and I hear you on that. Now when I think about it more, it does make sense. Biddy Bites even said this as well. It's the impartial jury. They can't get that in Idaho because everyone already thinks he's guilty there, or at least in Moscow. Where he is right now. That county that he is in. I mean, he's right in Moscow or in the area of Moscow. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were sitting there going, we need to move this somewhere else because we need to have a jury that's unbiased, at least walking in. But this is but that's the ongoing argument here.
Yeah.
The ongoing struggle here. Everybody and their mama knows about this tragedy for the most part. I mean, there's maybe 2 or 3 people that I've run into that didn't know a doggone thing about it, right? But it still goes to show to you that thousands, millions of people were watching this every single day, talking about this, obsessed over this, eating, pooping, and dreaming this stuff.
Well, no, I have. So.
Yeah, right? But and I myself too. But I feel like it would be very hard for them to find 12 jurors that are going to walk in there without them not knowing anything about this particular tragedy. So moving, does that really help the situation or not?
It does. So I don't know where you're located, obviously, but I'm in Tennessee, and I know that my daughter, for example, we had a play date yesterday, and we got into a discussion. Basically, what happened is Jeff Beck passed away yesterday, and I do a series called Notable Deaths, and Jeff Beck obviously is incredibly notable. So I have to excuse myself while we had this guest here who this is their first time over here. I'm like, I have to go make a video and we talk about it. And so she asked like what I do on TikTok, and I said, well, lately I've been a bunch of stuff, but I've been covering this crap. She had no idea. She's our age, my age, your age. She had no idea about it. I think that there's a lot of people off social, if they're not heavily on social media, that they don't know about it. Now, that being said, you've had some of the more mainstreams pick it up. It was on Nancy Grace the other night. She's been starting to cover it. I know that People's picked it up. I think 60 Minutes and 48 Hours did something. But there's still a lot of people out there who, when you bring this up, I mean, my own brother, who's an attorney, didn't know anything about it till I brought it up. He still doesn't know anything about it. So I think it really just depends on how active that person is in keeping up with current events. And how much they're on social media, because there are people out there that don't know what I've seen is a considerable amount. I would say 30% of the people that I've talked to about this case have no clue about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. The amount of people that do know about it and the amount of people that don't, but I feel like it's going to be 50-50 in a way.
Yeah. It might even be less than that, but still, if you have a lot of people, if you can find that, 10, 15, 20, 30% of people up to 50, then you've got yourself a jury. And then I think they're going to have to sequester that jury after that.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way you can have them out there in the public just all willy-nilly. Of course, you're going to have to keep them on lockdown. Same thing with what happened with Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp trial, et cetera. They were all locked away. I think it's the same thing with the OJ trial as well. They were locked away. They were not able to speak to the public or be out in public at all as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
I think you're 100%. I can't remember on OJ. That's been a long time, but I know you're 100% right. But I think it probably was, because if we go back to that era, which I think you and I both remember, that was the trial of was OJ. And with Johnny Depp, I think that's a really good one to bring up, because you can't get much bigger of a megastar than Johnny Depp. So everybody knew about that too, and him and the rumors that have been swirling. So they were still able to find, a jury, to do that. So if you can find it with like the OJ case and with Johnny Depp, you'll be able to find something for this.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of people who have been covering things, we got Nancy Grace, Grizzy Grace, outside of the house with her makeshift setup.
She got a table and everything. That's what people were talking about. Interesting.
Yeah, she got a fold-out table and everything. I mean, she did this show, right outside of the house, and I know that really angered a lot of people. That angered a lot of people, actually. But to me, I'm going, it angered a lot of locals as well, apparently, which I'm going to show you guys here in a second. But I don't blame her. Everybody else is there too.
This is her job. This is her job. You know, that's the thing about.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, that's her. Yeah, that's her job. It's the same thing with Ashley Banfield. Now, I think that Nancy Grace, there are aspects of her I really, really like, and there are aspects of her I'm like, this is kind of cringe. But the same thing with Banfield, and I tend to prefer Banfield over, and I stream Banfield pretty much every night that this has been going on TikTok for those who I'm going to plug myself for those who want to follow that. I do stream it every night starting at 9 Central. But that being said, they're tough, but they get the story. They get good guests on because of their pool. They can bring a different set of eyes and values and knowledge to it. So, you don't have to like her or like what she's doing, but she's bringing you a story that you can't want to have the story and then complain about the people who are bringing you that story.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I am not knocking Nancy.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not.
Well, I know you know that. But I'm just saying that rhetorically saying, I'm not knocking Nancy Grace because let's be real, she's bringing the voice to a lot of the voiceless in other cases, not only just Idaho 4, but like Shanquella Robinson. I'm gonna keep saying that until we actually start getting justice for this.
I owe you a video on that too, and I forgot till you just said it. So if you don't see one from me in a couple of days, you just need to pester me.
Okay, I will.
I'm dead serious.
I'll even do a TikTok and be like, yo, Justin on TikTok, sup?
Call me out. Yeah, call me out. I'm fine with being called out. But no, you're right. The awareness is so important for any of these cases.
Right. So the fact that she's doing that, for me, it's like, okay, she's got the platform, she's got the clout, she's got the name. So I don't blame her for doing what she's doing. Bryan Enton is out there, boots on the ground, covering this stuff since the start of this whole debacle, and all these other news outlets that are out there doing the same thing. So for me, it's like, okay, so she did a show right outside literally the house of this tragedy. Doesn't mean that this person that she's an evildoer. There's plenty of other media that have been swarming around, harassing people,
absolutely,
the locals, etc. She comes out, does one show. Personally, I'm not tripping over it, but I know other people are getting upset. Locals that are getting upset about that, which I'll show you guys in just a second. Go ahead.
But you know what about that? Here's the thing: we're sitting here talking about her just being there, not even talking about the content of her show. You can't buy press like that. You can't buy awareness like that. So you know what? Because they're like, I'm mad at Nancy Grace. Why? What did she do? Well, she went to this. What's the Idaho thing? What's the Shanquella Robinson thing? What's the Gabby Petito thing? Whatever it is. And on top of that, like I love Bryan Enton. Bryan Enton is probably when it comes to cases, especially like this, Bryan Enton is the GOAT. He is by far my favorite. I think all of my followers, a lot have, in fact, they're saying it right now on my TikTok live. They call him News Daddy. But he's very, very respectful. He's great at this, and he really comes from a place where he seems to care and a non-bias. But he's also very well known for the online community. And you go to News Nation, you have to pay to subscribe to a service, etc. When you look at Nancy Grace brings this awareness to an entirely different demographic.
Absolutely.
Than what would typically be on TikTok or watching News Nation. So, typically she's been around forever. I'm not doing an age thing with this, but a lot of times an older demographic tends to watch her because she has been around for so long. Not that younger people don't also, but the older people who don't tend to do a lot of social media stuff watch Nancy Grace too. So it brings awareness to all of these cases from a different level and perspective. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. That's not a bad thing in my personal opinion. JB, exactly. She says,
I love JB.
He's my news daddy. There's a lot of news. I'm sure there's a lot of news daddies out there for sure. Bryan Enton obviously is dope at what he does, and he's been killing it since the Gabby Petito, or at least that's when I got hip to him, was during the Gabby Petito trial and all that, or the Gabby Petito case and investigation and all that. He's done some really amazing work. But I wanted to show you guys this. And this is from Corner Club. Okay. They literally tweeted this. Okay. We cannot wait for these vultures to leave so we as a community can begin to heal. They're disrupting that process and are not welcome. So this is from the tweet from Corner Club, the very Corner Club that we saw Kaylee and Madison inside of and all that stuff. Now, obviously, we see down there is the photo of Nancy Grace getting ready to do their thing. And it says, from Barstool, Idaho, it says, our tragedy is not your news backdrop. Who the F do you think you are? Now, let me say this, though. We've already said it a second ago, but I'm going to say it again. The news and media have been using this as a backdrop for a while now. But given that Nancy Grace came on and now it's even worse. Now, let me say this, too. So that part doesn't make sense to me. Like, suddenly it's, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I'm here to just defend Nancy Grace and all that. But I'm just saying defending media in general, they're all out there. So I don't understand why Nancy Grace going out there is just the worst thing that could ever happen. Second thing I want to point out is that this is going to be going on until this trial is over. This trial is going on. Maybe you guys, there might be a lull for 5 months, maybe, unless something big drops, right?
Yep.
But for 5 months, there'll be a lull. But as soon as the trial gets switched on, it's a wrap. That whole town is going to have to relive all that stuff all over again, whether they want to or not, because for a fact media will be back looking into this stuff during this summer. So in a way, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not sitting here saying if you can't beat them, join them or anything, but I'm just saying you kind of have to embrace the inevitable, unfortunately. And the inevitable is going to be media is going to be back for a
100%. They're going to be back
until they find him guilty or not guilty. What were your thoughts, Justin?
No, 100% they're going to be back. And the thing is, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit here and be like, okay, this horrible tragedy happened. We need the public's help. And then all of a sudden, okay, well, we've arrested a guy. Now everybody go away. You can't get people so invested. Because look, there are some people that it's just a morbid curiosity, a morbid interest. There are some people who start to cover it, who start to care. Like you can tell, like with you covering it, Pascal, you care. I care. A lot of my mutuals, Chronicles of Olivia, who I know wants to be a guest, she knows Kaylee's family. She's met them. She's doing like videos and stuff for them. She is one of the most caring people I know. There are creators out here, content creators and news people. I think Bryan Kohberger cares, that truly do have a passion for this kind of thing and want to see, how this thing turns out, how it ends. And they want to see a conviction too. I get where they're at. They're tired of their town being taken over like a circus, becoming a media spotlight for, as they said, they think everybody's a vulture. But at the same time, they wanted the public and they wanted the media's help when they were looking for this guy. And there were no leads, there was no suspects, there was no evidence that any of us knew of. So now that they have that, they can't be like, okay, well, we have what we want now, go away. No, there's too many people invested in this. We all want to see, what, if Kohberger is the right guy, and I believe that he is, and I'm saying this because I don't want to get sued, but if Kohberger is the right guy, and I believe that he is, then I want to see justice served for these families. I'm a father, I know that Maddie's parents, they only have one child. I only have one child. Not that, if you had multiple kids like Ethan's family, it makes the loss of one that much easier. But I think when you only have one, it makes it maybe a little bit hard because that's all you had for a child. So when you sit back and you look at this, even from my eyes as another parent, I want these parents to get the justice that they deserve. Somebody stole the lives of their kids, these young adults, just at the very beginning of their lives. And if that's Bryan Kohberger that did it, then he deserves to face the justice, whether it's the death penalty, life in prison. I'm personally for the death penalty in this case, but he deserves to face the justice and see what he's done.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to see what happens here because, they got 5 months to get their things figured out here on both sides of the fence. I'm hoping that law enforcement have more information.
I'm sure they do.
More damning information, more smoking gun information, more red flags, just proving that this is the guy that they got their guy. Because still, within this, I know the court of public opinion is a lot more legal and a lot more cutthroat, but proven guilty in a court of law. So right now, this man is innocent until found guilty. There needs to be, in my personal opinion, there needs to be a lot more evidence to really nail this mother lover. I do believe that this is the bad guy.
But
we got our bad guy.
I do too.
Much leading this way, but stick with the court of law. We have to lean on the fact that he is innocent until proven guilty. I know that is a pill that is very hard to swallow for a lot of people right now because of all the smoking gun information, because of the pings and all that stuff and all the deep dives we've done over the past week or so, really get to know this dude. But again, the court, it's all up to the court and what they present in this trial. If prosecution comes in with just everything, the weapon, there's DNA on the weapon, so on and so on and so forth, man, it's a wrap. But if they come up with nothing and it's butt kiss, except a couple cell phone pings and a knife sheath, and you got one witness that saw bushy eyebrows, there's still room for reasonable doubt. That's the one thing that really sucks about this. So it's going to be up to the prosecution on how they come at this, how they approach their arguments, how they approach the case, and how they really send it home for the jury. Really. So it's going to be interesting what happens here.
But I'm going to say something that might be an unpopular opinion here. And I actually mentioned this in a video. Innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, that's not how the court of public opinion works, but judiciously, that's how it's supposed to be. But I think it's a ruse, and I'll tell you why. If you're innocent, Bryan Kohberger, innocent until proven guilty, right? He has to sit in a jail for 6 months. No option of bail. If he was innocent, give him an ankle bracelet, let him walk around. It's a ruse. It's something that we would like to say, but he's got to sit in jail he's been there since December 30th, right? So he's been in there for a couple weeks now. He's got at least another 6 months into it. And that's just to get to the preliminary hearing where he'll enter probably, a plea. We know that we know that they have the police, the law enforcement have a lot more evidence. And I think that, you have the pings and you have a witness, and could the defense tear holes in that? Probably. I'm not an attorney, but I like the law and I study a little bit of it, but there's holes. But there's also the car, being caught on camera multiple times around the house, especially around the same time. There's the fact that he changed his tags 5 days after the murder. That's odd. I mean, it's circumstantial, yes, and it does coincide with the fact that his tags were getting ready to expire, but it's still weird because I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that if you live in a different state than what your car is registered, so he lives in Pennsylvania. I'll just say my story. When I moved to Texas, when I lived in Texas, I moved from Georgia and I had Georgia plates, and it took me like years to get them done, and they were expired, really expired. And when I got pulled over for speeding at one point, the police could mention my tags, but they couldn't do anything about the tags because they're like, well, your car's not registered here, so we can't ticket you for that. So even if he had been a few days, it wouldn't have made a difference as far as that goes. And if he's smart enough to know this much about murder, he probably knows that about simple traffic rules. If not, doesn't matter. But that's kind of, it's just a lot of weird little circumstantial things that you can pick at, but when you put them all together, it makes a pretty compelling case. And then if you really want to go, we'll go down a little bit of a route of conspiracy, so to speak. There's a whole thing about this Papa Rogers character. I don't know if you know about Papa Rogers yet. If not,
oh yeah.
Okay. Do you know about Inside Looking?
Yes.
Okay, I learned about Inside Looking last night. Obviously, I'm not sitting here saying that those two are Bryan Kohberger. Inside Looking on Reddit for those who are listening that don't know. But they both, I'm not saying that they're Bryan Kohberger, but I will say that they both seem to have had speculations of a lot of information that nobody else knew prior to the affidavit being released. So let's just play out this scenario for a minute. Let's say that either one or both of those are Bryan Kohberger. That's going to be very easy for them to detect, essentially, unless he used, VPNs and all sorts of other things, which I think in this type of a case, they could still probably trace. I don't really know, that goes outside my wheelhouse. But if those turn out to be him, then, that's a smoking gun. And that was said on Banfield last night. Those aren't my words. was said on Banfield last night. So there's a lot of things out there that could really, really hurt him. Plus, you have DNA on a knife sheath. No knife has been reported stolen. No car has been reported stolen. It was all right there. So yeah, you have circumstantial, but you have strong circumstantial, and people have been convicted for less.
That's very, very true. And I guess we'll just have to sit back and wait to see what happens here, because it is pretty wild stuff, y'all. All of it is pretty wild stuff. And of course, now they have 5 months. They have 5 months on both sides of the fence. Both sides of the aisle have 5 months to come up with a strong argument for or against Bryan Kohberger. It's, man, crazy stuff for sure. We're going to find out more as time goes on. But Justin, I want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
My brother. Real quick, everybody, so that everyone sees it, please go and follow, subscribe. Let's see if there's been an uptick. Oh, yes, definitely. Hit that subscribe button.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's been a couple subscribers so far.
Awesome.
Go subscribe to Justin. Oh, actually, I didn't do that. Let me subscribe now, too. Bang.
It's okay. I just subscribed to you this morning, so I'm just as guilty.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So one hand washes the other, right?
Yeah.
So please go and follow Justin on TikTok. You see it right here. Let me try to blow it up just a little bit more so you guys can see the spelling. Please go over there, support, subscribe, let him know that that I sent you. That would really mean a lot. Okay. And again, Justin, thank you so much for hopping on. Love to have you back on soon.
Anytime.
There's a lot of other cases to go on to, especially that Shanquella Robinson one.
I owe you that. I owe you that. I owe you that, and I'll do it. And by the way, a couple of people on YouTube have come over and said that you sent them, so thank you for that as well.
Of course, man. Of course, we're all here supporting each other.
Absolutely, that's what we got to do. So awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I like discussing it. It's good. Let me, if I may say one more thing before we go. I want to talk about Dylan real quick and the other roommates. And the reason I want to do this is there's a lot of people, when you look at I'm sure you're probably in the Facebook group like I am, and that group is a dumpster fire, but occasionally there's good information. But people are going after Dylan. When you really sit and think about this, hindsight's 2020, right? You can sit there and say what you would have done, but in a situation, she probably was very unaware that 4 people were being murdered in her house. On top of that, when she did finally realize and see what happened, which is likely the next day, she witnessed something that most people watching a horror movie would look away, and that's fake, not real life. The trauma that her and Bethany have gone through is going to be with them for the rest of their life. And I'm saying all of this because, with rumors that come about with them, and this goes for the family too, because I've seen people talking about like, well, Maddie was into drugs and this and that. It's disrespectful. There's no evidence supporting any of that kind of stuff. It's rumors that people say. It's crazy. It's disrespectful to the dead who can't defend themselves. It's disrespectful to the families, and for the roommates. I'm friends with Rose Davis, who was Gabby Petito's best friend, and we did a live the other night talking about this exact thing, spreading rumors. And somebody literally came into her live calling her a murderer based on fake information. She wasn't involved. She lost her best friend. And when people are mourning and going through this, the last thing they need is people coming after them. So I just want people, I'm just saying this because I want people to keep that in mind, that these are people too. This is not a sideshow. Their lives are forever changed by what they've witnessed. These families' lives are forever changed. So just if you're out there, be respectful on these groups, stand up to misinformation, and know that there's families out there. And think if it was your family member, whether it's Dylan or one of the kids that were murdered, think about how you want them treated in their name if it got public, and just be respectful. Is all I'm saying. All I want to say.
You know what? Just to jump on what you're saying, I do totally agree with that. We don't know. First off, it is getting into here with all the speculation of this stuff. Literally, last night I pulled up a random crazy theory that's been spreading like wildfire, or starting to spread like wildfire. And of course, that chat room is trying to stuff it quickly, trying to make it seem like Bryan Kohberger was a dog breeder, and that's
I've not heard this one yet.
He breeded Murphy, and that's the reason why Kaylee ran into BK, and that's how BK met Kaylee, and then session ensued. I don't. Obviously, it's not true. Why are people putting out these ridiculous, crazy theories, right? Now, when it comes to Dylan, yes, there's a lot of questions to ask. It doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, we're not in her shoes. We've never seen any type of horror like that. Not a lot of us, okay? Some of us are lucky enough to not have to ever experience anything as horrific as that. But if you were in her shoes, how would you react?
Yeah.
You would cower in fear. Maybe you would run back in your room and shut the door. You got to also remember how inebriated this woman was. If she was inebriated, if she took a gummy, if she was high, if she was drunk, whatever it may be, we don't know. But the amount of theories that have been going rampant out here have been absolutely insane. I feel like we need to step back and wait for more discovery. Wait for more
100%.
That affidavit has only, I'm thinking maybe half.
I say less than that. I'd say less than that.
You say, wait, you think that there's more in the affidavit that we saw already? Or
Well, I think that the affidavit is just a small tip of what they have.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking.
And on top of that, they have the car now too, which no matter how hard he cleaned it, unless he replaced carpets and seats and everything else, there's something. There is molecular DNA, molecular data there that they're going to be able to find. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I hadn't heard the dog breeder one. I did hear one today. I'm not spreading this. Don't believe this, but I don't believe it's true. That it was they had a Poshmark and that they had a disgruntled customer, and I believe that part is true. And people are like, well, that customer must be Bryan. Well, probably not. Don't you think the police would know? People like to try to come piece these things together, but we don't know what we don't know. But the thing is when you start to implicate things like people being involved in murder, quadruple murder, that's not throwing around words. That is incredibly serious accusations. And, it's, again, the survivor's guilt that both of the surviving roommates must go through. But at the same time, Bryan was it, or whoever, allegedly Bryan, the suspect Bryan, was it? I don't want to get sued. Was in the house for 10, 15 minutes. It took him less than 15 minutes to kill 4 people. It was fairly quiet. Nobody, you might have heard a scream for a second, but again, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I guess they caught it on camera, but you don't know what you thought that scream was. And again, from her perspective, there was no reason, no logical person's going to think, especially in a house that's a party house, has a lot of people coming and going, that there are 4 people being murdered upstairs.
Yep.
Nobody's going to think that. So, anyways, we're going to see how it plays out, and I'm sure you and I will be discussing this again.
Absolutely, absolutely, we will. So, and Justin, yes, I do agree. But again, we got to step back. We got to let law enforcement do their job and give us the information when the information comes out. But yeah, if we keep going crazy on like, oh, it was drug related or this, that, and the third, I mean, it just gets more and more crazy. So let's sit back. Let's find out more information when they. Justin, again, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man.
All right, man.
Bye. For everybody else, I'm gonna stay on for y'all and answer some questions for a few minutes. Around.
But there's something else I wanted to share with you guys.
Let me split this around for y'all, and then we will. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'll give it a few more minutes because I got some stuff I have to do today, work-wise and whatnot. But I will. I'll thank you guys. And everybody who came over from Pascal, thank you so much for subscribing, especially on YouTube. I'm really trying to grow my YouTube presence on here, and I really love things that we can do. Like I got the scrolling banner. I know Pascal does this stuff all the time, but for me, I think it's great, and I can throw some things up there. Which my previous lives, which I've been doing after case discussion, so I'll probably do another live tonight to do a case discussion after all said and done. But I love being able to show things on the screen and us be able to discuss them. And so if you're on, I'm looking at my TikTok people. If you're on TikTok and you want to follow me on YouTube as well, I would appreciate it very much so. So, just to grow, because I can do so much more there. I'm still going to do lives here, but the case discussions have been really great on YouTube. So for both places, and also the discussions a little bit, there's less people, so I can see the questions better. So if y'all have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So I see one here. I'll throw this up real quick. Yes, I did watch the phone interview with Bryan and Kohberger's defense attorney from Pennsylvania. He said that there's a lot of holes in the case. So yeah, there are a lot of holes in the case. According to him, he says that he sees a lot, but he also does not see everything that Idaho has. On top of that, I've seen people come on. I've seen both sides. I've seen, veteran defense or veteran attorneys come on, veteran FBI agents come on saying, what they have is solid. It's going to be fantastic, etc. So, I guess we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Yeah, a lot of what we know right now is circumstantial, minus the DNA on the knife sheath, which, that one's pretty damning, to be honest with you. It's hard to kind of explain that, when you have a knife sheath found at the crime scene right next to one of the victims, and the only DNA that they pulled off of it was yours. That's going to be kind of hard to combat, I think. So, so we'll see. Somebody else asked, let me go back up, make sure I didn't ask any other questions. And Megan, thank you. Everybody who subscribed from Pascal, thank you so much. Okay, I like this comment. I truly don't think that they found the knife or anything. Let me see if I can. No, I can't. I'll try to figure that out. If you want to see what's being pulled up on YouTube, just Justin on TikTok on YouTube, you can get to that through my profile on in TikTok. You just click my name at the top right, go to my link tree, and it's the very first link. Or I can pin this comment that Mama P posted. Thank you for that. The judge is going to have a jury. There's no way. It's his right as an American to have a jury of his peers. So, by the way, just came out. Well, I just saw it pop on my screen. The cuts on Bryan's face were from shaving. So, which I think that in prison they use the Bic razors. So the cheap little like whatever the cheapest thing they can get. I used to. One of the companies I worked for a long time ago, I sold medical supplies. Also sold them into jails, so I know a little bit about some of the stuff that they use. I have seen the table by Nancy Grace. So let me talk about this. So I truly don't think they found the knife or anything, but I think they found stalking stuff on his computer, maybe even pictures of them that he took from outside the house. So let's chat about that real quick. I agree with you. I don't think that they found a knife. I think. Let me see if I can find a place to pull this up. Let me see if I still have it. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull up a picture real quick and show you all the route. For those of y'all who don't know the route that he took. Real quick. There it is. Okay. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second here. Here's what I want. Oh, I need to open this. Let me open it. Come on. I hate that this is the sun, but that's okay. All right, give me 1 second. I'm trying to get this pulled up in a bigger photo so we can really kind of take a look at it. Okay, open image in new tab. There we go. Well, it's not as big as I wanted, but whatever. We'll work with what we got. Okay. Let me share this with y'all real quick. So this, sorry, it's so small. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. If I can zoom in. I'm going to try and do this on my Apple, but all right, it doesn't matter. Okay, so if you look at this right here, the normal route. So Pullman is right here where I think you can see me moving my mouse, right? Okay, here we go. Pullman's right here where I'm moving my mouse. If you drive across here, this little blue, which you can barely see, that is Moscow, okay? There's a road that goes straight shot from here to here. The road Bryan took was this long yellow line according to the cell phone pings, okay? It's this route takes roughly 10 minutes. This takes roughly 30 minutes, okay? So triple the time, and through this is a national park, all right? Again, if you guys aren't on YouTube, you can't see this, but it's the route that you show the yellow thing that's here. You have the only way you can see it's on. That's why I love starting to do some of these chats on YouTube. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this pulled up for these guys, and we'll continue this. Let me see if I can pull myself up on this TV. It's gonna be weird if I can. Hold on. Hold please. I'll go them up there. Here we go. There's my live. Okay, I'll try to show you all this way. It's easier on YouTube if y'all want to go subscribe to me there, but here's what we're looking at. Okay. So for those of y'all who I'm showing you now on, I got to flip y'all. There we go. There we go. So for those of y'all who are just looking from TikTok, where the red little triangle is, that is where Bryan lives. The blue triangle is the house in Moscow. There's a straight shot, which isn't really highlighted, that goes from the blue triangle here to the red triangle here. It takes about 10 minutes. Then you have this entire route all the way up through here, okay, which goes through a national park. And my personal opinion, speculation only, I want to make it clear, I'm not starting rumors, but my personal speculation is that the knife is somewhere in here. There's also a river in here. There's no other reason, for him to have really taken that route, adrenaline rushing, I guess, and could have wanted to do that. But I don't think they're going to find a knife, but you don't necessarily have to find a knife to get a conviction. As far as stalking goes, I agree with you. So for those of y'all who can't necessarily read the whole thing, it says, I truly don't think they found the knife or anything, but I think they found stalking stuff on his computer, maybe even pictures of them that he took from outside the house. I will take that a step further. So when we talk about the cell phone pings, all of them were late at night, early in the morning. Okay. So except for one was during the day. My, again, personal speculation is that one, because it's a weird house, right? The house is a very strange layout. For him to have gone through it as efficiently, and I hate to use the word efficiently, but I mean, his time was used efficiently for what he was doing. I hate wording it that way. I just can't think of a better way to word it. But he was in and out in less than 15 minutes and took the lives of 4 people. That's 3.5 minutes apiece, roughly, right? Give or take. So that's quick. That's super quick. So to me, it means that he had to have had knowledge of the house. And you're not going to get that type of knowledge by looking at Zillow pictures or rental pictures, right? You're going to get that knowledge by physically being in the house and determining whose room is whose. I think that the one time he was in the area during the day, I don't know what day of the week it was. I don't know exactly the times, but I would imagine it was a day that he probably figured out everybody was at class and nobody was there, or it was vacation break, nobody was there. And he knew that. That's what I think. And I think that he went into the house at that point in time. Again, that is my personal opinion on that. I could be wrong, but I think that this is a really good talking point. And I think that, they have significantly more, as I said on Pascal Show, I think they have significantly more than what they're telling us. They have to. Typically, most affidavits, his is 18, 19 pages. And if y'all haven't read the full thing, it is on my Instagram, right? So you can go look at it. I have all of them posted. Well, I post a lot of stuff that's not necessarily worth making an entire video out of. I post that stuff on, or, forms, documents. I post those on Instagram a lot. But you can go read it. 19 pages is a lot. Usually things like that is 2 or 3. So if they're doing 18, 19 pages, it means that they have a ton of stuff. At least that is what I truly believe. Because like I said, again, on Pascal Show, for them to be able to secure, getting an arrest warrant is one thing. You have to have enough evidence to get an arrest warrant. But to get an arrest warrant that allows you to do a no-knock, middle of the night, with SWAT and tactical law enforcement, where they break windows, bust open the doors, and take you, at gunpoint like that, that requires additional evidence, more so than your standard average, hey, we think we have enough to arrest this guy. It requires something that's pretty solid for a judge to be willing to sign off on that. Because, property damage does occur with that. And with this case, it's Bryan's parents' house. It was not Bryan's house. So the property damage is now affected of that. Sorry, I'm looking at something over here. The property damage is effectively now the responsibility of the parents to do. So a judge isn't going to just willy-nilly sign off on that. There has to be a reason. And somebody's asking about the court documents, and they posted a link. Let me see if I can. This is on TikTok. I'm going to pin this link, but on TikTok, and I might try to figure out a way to start doing this on the other platforms. The link that Pancake here has shared is also in the link tree in my bio. In the profile here, you can go through it and get to all the latest documents from there as well. So anyways, yeah, that is my thought on that. Do I think that they'll still release the arrest affidavit in March since the preliminary hearing was pushed to June? I don't know. Maybe. I hope that they still do. I think it just is going to depend on what the judge decides, how much comes out between now and then. I mean, there is a gag order. They could lift it, but maybe not. But yeah, I don't know. Heather, that's a good idea. I will add my YouTube name to my bio. Yes, and everybody who's joined from Pascal or coming over from TikTok and subscribing to the YouTube channel, thank you guys so much. As I said, I'm really trying to grow this channel. There's so much more that I can do on it than TikTok allows. So I don't have to deal with the violations that TikTok likes to give me and ban me, so I can't post for an inordinate amount period of time when they do. So my background, and let me take this off here. I can stop sharing this route. So Anna's asking what my background is, and y'all are going to be surprised. It has nothing to do with any of this. In my day job is I am I like to make the joke that I'm a legal drug dealer. I'm a pharmaceutical rep. I have never worked in any type of legal profession. I will say that I took a lot of law classes in college, and I really enjoyed it. I excelled in them. I've always kind of had an affinity for this kind of stuff. My brother is an attorney and has always been interested in that stuff from a very young age. He's older than me. So pretty much my entire life, I grew up learning and hearing about this stuff. And I'll tell y'all a quick story about me on this. So for a lot of y'all who don't know, I'm very much into cars. I've always been into cars. I currently have a DeLorean as my toy, but when I was in college, one of my early cars in college, I had a Mazda RX-7, which was a very, very fast car. And like an idiot, I used to take it drag racing, and I tore the hell up out of it constantly and had to repair it. And I one day got a ticket for laying drag, which for those of y'all who don't know what laying drag is where you peel out. And I totally did it. And I thought, okay, I'll be a couple $100 ticket. No, this is 2002, I think, 2001, 2002. And the ticket back then was literally like $890 as a college student with no money and 6 points on my license. Okay. So I went to court to fight it. And long and short of this story is I'm arguing my point. I explained to the judge very respectively that, my car was incapable of laying drag at the time, even though it really was. I mean, it wasn't when I laid the drag, it was that evening later. So I showed him the receipts of the repairs that I did. The DA started, questioning me, saying that, the area that I was at, dirt could blow over to the road. Maybe my tires spun on dirt. I explained to him, no, that your tires don't make any noise if they spin on dirt. Long and short, we went back and forth for a little bit. I shut the DA down on everything, and I'm literally like 19 years old. And the judge makes me approach the bench afterwards. He asked me what my major is, and I say it's international business, and he says it needs to be pre-law. So at 19 years old, I had a judge tell me that this is what I needed to do. I've helped other friends when it came to cases against, like, when you move out of an apartment and they didn't want to give deposits back. And every time I've helped friends with this type of stuff, or the couple times I've had to be in court, I've always been successful in my endeavors. So I'm not necessarily an expert, but I know the things that I do know, and the things that I don't know, I won't pretend. So I'll go back and read somewhere here. Do I believe that they are looking for? Okay, I'll go back here. I was making sure I'm not missing any questions. It's harder on here because so many people come. They can ping. Oh, question here. This one's really easy. They can ping your phone back as long as they want, as long as they get approval from the company. They can go back. I don't know if there's an end date, but I mean, it can go back pretty damn far. So let's see. Yay, Josh, you made it. Okay, somebody asked if I think they are certain. There it is. Do you believe that they are looking for a knife on the route? I believe that they are hoping that they're going to find a knife. Maybe they're looking on the route. I've not seen any news coverage on FBI or state police going into that area. It doesn't mean that we necessarily would. The news might not go down there and waste their time to show people going into the woods. I don't know. But they also, depending on what they have that we don't know, they might not need it. Having obviously the weapon would be good, or maybe they do have it and we just don't know. Maybe they found it when they raided Bryan's apartment. I don't know. I don't know. It's all a guess at this point. I think that would be a really, really critical and rookie mistake to do. So I think it's unlikely, but it's definitely possible. I think, as Katie's saying, that the knife is somewhere along that route. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, Casey said this too. Good point. He traveled the following day and had his phone off for 3 hours. He could have disposed on it anywhere. And I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know I have about 10 minutes left, and then I'm going to have to run. But I have 10 more minutes on both of these. Let me see here. I expect additional charges to be added, including stalking. I never finished my thought on this when we were talking about it earlier. So yeah, the pings, him going by that house 12 times alone, even if he didn't go inside any of those times, that in and of itself is stalking. And those are the 12 times that they pinged. That's not necessarily encompassing all the times that he's been there. There are times he could have turned his phone off, left his phone home, etc. I mean, I don't know if that's the truth, but I'm just saying it's very possible. Lars, this is new. You are watching it live. Oh, you already answered him. If this is new, could you give a recap? I just saw. Lars, so on TikTok, which I will then update here. Actually, I already put it on TikTok, but I'll update a video here after I sign off. Basically, there wasn't a ton that happened today. He had the preliminary status hearing, and Bryan chose to waive his right for basically a speedy hearing, and they scheduled it for June 26th at 9 a.m. So his attorney wants to prepare. That's basically what happened. So, do we just wait till June? Pretty much, unless they choose to release more information. Let's see what else. Thank you, Katie. I do try to be factual on the cases that I cover. I'm going to share this. There are times that I'm wrong, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. And I will, if there's a video that has incorrect information, and I've done it before, I'll take that video down and I will post a correction video. And if that video doesn't get enough views, I will post the correction again in a recap until it gets a fair amount of views so people know that it was wrong. Okay, you read. Yeah, so I'm just putting this in. This has nothing to do with what we're discussing. So last night when we were on, before I got off TikTok, I told people because covering cases like this, mass, murder, and then, I'm looking into Anna Walsh, which I need to make a video. Shaquella Robinson, I need to make a video, etc. This stuff is really heavy, right? It can weigh on you. It's depressing. And so I told people if you really needed a laugh, because some people were really stressed about everything that they were reading, and it was really kind of messing with them. Like I know for my wife and I, it really affects us. I said, go read something called just Google Justin's Floodlight. The first site that comes up will look like a spammy website, but it's not. And it's one of the funniest things I have ever read. And y'all should totally read it. I mean, literally, it's very rare for me to read something and literally laugh to the point that I have tears. And that is that story. Didn't they say if they were going for the death penalty, they would have to do it within 60 days of his court hearing? So no, he's now had a court hearing. He's chosen to waive, Lars. So death penalty still on the table. What time are you going to be live on TikTok or YouTube? Okay, so Josh is asking a question. So I will be going live tonight I need to confirm this with Pascal, actually. I might go on both, but normally I stream Banfield, which starts at 9 o'clock Central Time. And I have not streamed Banfield from YouTube because I've been told that it could result in a content violation. Although Pascal does his show and he was just streaming live news. So if I can stream live news, I will do it from both. And also do it on Twitch because actually I'm on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter right now. All three. That's why I love this platform. Is Ann Taylor still his counsel? Yes, Ann Taylor is still the counsel. If they get a change of venue, will it move to another state? So this is one of those things that I don't know the answer to. I can tell you that personally, I have never heard of them moving venues to another state that they were filed in, but it's definitely possible. I know that, for example, Johnny Depp's case was done in Virginia, and neither one of them live in Virginia. They chose it. I mean, that was a civil case. So I don't know if there's an attorney. Actually, I know there's at least one attorney in TikTok because she's very nice and helps me out quite a bit. And I love Judy. She's amazing. So if she can tell me if I'm wrong, and if I catch it, I'll see it. And if there's one in here, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Lori says, and I agree, the evidence in his car and apartment will get him convicted. I agree that those can both be very damning, particularly the car. No matter how hard you try to clean out that type of DNA, that molecular type stuff. I keep looking over here to see if she's responded to let me know. Yeah, I think it's going to be, unless you replaced literally everything in the car. I mean, you have the seats, you have the crevices. I don't know the name of the other attorney who was representing him. I missed that, Pam. It's going to be very hard to have fully cleaned the car. I mean, he would have had to have taken the seats out, replaced. I mean, I guess replaced literally everything. All right. Okay, Planner Girl Jasmine. Yeah, it's hard to sleep after some of this stuff. It gets with you. So go read Justin's Floodlight. It's an old story, but it's hilarious. Did I feel like Nancy Grace appeared that she was selling Girl Scout cookies? I think that Nancy Grace is a reporter who doesn't want to stand up. She's used to being behind a desk, and her having a table doesn't make me think one way or the other, to be honest with you. Yes, as Katie has said, thank you, everybody. And this is on both sides, on TikTok and on here. These lives, we get a lot of people in them. Both, TikTok to YouTube, I guess Twitch as well. And everybody, for the most part, is always very respectful. It's very rare that we have somebody coming in that's not. So thank you guys for always being cool, because I've been in lives where people are just absolute asses to everyone else. But y'all are always, everybody's pretty cool. And I love the fact that my platforms foster an environment of respect and courtesy, and open dialogue where people don't feel, aren't made to feel stupid for asking questions, aren't ridiculed. I just love that about all y'all. Y'all are all amazing. If you get the death penalty, how long does it typically take till they proceed? I guess if you mean till they put them to death, and that can take years, because there could be appeals, there could be all sorts of things. I'm just going through these questions here on here. See if it's so easy. Okay. I've got about 4 more minutes. All this seems like ways to go through the motions, only to get a conviction and sentence, and then appeal after appeal after appeal. Why? Because the death penalty trial. Yeah, so here's what Lars says. I kind of mumbled that. All this seems like ways to go through all these motions, only to get a conviction and a sentence, and then appeal after appeal after appeal. Why? Because the death penalty trials go like this. That's true. People get the death penalty and they take years. So Jody asked on TikTok, anybody know how good his attorney is? She's good. As far as public, she is the chief public defender for the area that she's in. She has gotten a murder conviction overturned. She's good. She's good. As far as public defenders go, she's good. So, but she's not, high dollar firm. So, but the state, we'll see what the state has. Let's see what else. If by chance an accomplice, how long do you suspect an arrest would take? If they thought that there was an accomplice, I think an arrest would have already been made. Of course, I did say that I thought also, but I will counter that and play devil's advocate to myself and say, I also said that they would not let a quadruple homicide suspect walk around. They would bring him in for something. And they, in fact, let a quadruple homicide suspect walk around when they knew who it was. So, yeah, the officer lied. I know that was part of it. So, yeah, that is a fair point. Ann Taylor did get it overturned, but it was retired, and he was a convicted officer. The officer lied, basically. So, okay, I got 2 more minutes, and then I'll give my what we're doing tonight as far as what y'all can expect as far as streaming and stuff. Sorry, I'm fixing something down here. You looked at a guy who was sentenced to the death penalty in '85 and still hasn't. Yeah, a lot of times, they'll continue to appeal. That's a long time. That's been almost 40 years. Yeah, the wording of the warrant, because I know you're talking about suspect vehicle 1. I don't necessarily think too much about that. I don't. All right, well, with 1 minute left, I'll go ahead and start wrapping up, and I'll tell y'all what to expect tonight. Okay, so for those of y'all on TikTok specifically. I'm going to come back to you guys here on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter in like 1 second. So for those of y'all who are on TikTok with me, I will be back 100% at 9 p.m. Central Time. That is 10 Eastern, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific to stream Banfield. Okay. Afterwards, I will go into a case discussion, most likely solely on YouTube because of everything that I can pull up on YouTube. Just the layout is fantastic. But at the very least, we will be streaming Banfield here. So if you want to watch Banfield and you don't already follow, please hit that follow button so you're notified when I go live and you don't miss it. I think the fact that we had court today, it should be a pretty good episode of Banfield on News Nation tonight. So now let me talk to you guys on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So up until today, I have been under the impression that I cannot stream live news from YouTube at all. I think Twitch is fine. I think that Twitter's fine, but I've heard YouTube. I was just on the Pascal Show, as a lot of y'all know, and he was, he was streaming news live. So I'm going to verify with him that it's okay and it won't result in a content violation. And if that's the case, I will also be streaming it here. Banfield is 10 p.m. Eastern, Heather, 10 p.m. Eastern. So if I'm able to do so, I will stream it here for you guys as well, because again, like I said, I'm really trying to build this platform. And then afterwards, we will continue the live discussion here. So all that being said, for the TikTok people, if you have a lot of burning questions, again, it's you guys know how it is. We have 390 people in here, and this is a lower amount for this chat, for this type of a stream. If you want to join YouTube or follow me on YouTube, it's a lot more chill there. I can get to the questions easier because there aren't nearly as many people in there. But if not, I will see the rest of y'all tonight, one way or the other, starting at 9 p.m. Central Time. So y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Don't let this weigh too much on y'all. And if you guys want to read something super funny that will make you laugh so hard you'll cry, read Justin's Floodlight on, just Google it and you'll find it and just read it. It's hilarious. All right. So I will talk to you guys soon.